Hido, and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're having a look at an Izzet commander that's really quite different to any other Izzet commander. It's unique, and I love it. It's Aegar, the Freezing Flame, who weighs in at 3 mana for a legendary creature, Giant Wizard. He's a 3/3. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess damage, if a giant, wizard, or spell you control dealt damage to it this turn, draw a card. That's really cool, isn't it? That's something different. It's not just instants and sorceries matter. It's a tribal thing. It's just something different, and it makes you think about cards in a different way, which is always exciting to me, and I'm just excited to actually talk about it. It's cool. It's really, really cool. And do you know what else is cool? If you'd subscribe to my channel. I'd really, really like it. It makes me feel really good. Please give a like to this video, comment, share, subscribe, whatever. Or don't if you don't want to. It's up to you. Moving on, let's have a look at the top 5 cards for Aegar. In at number 5, we have Thundercloud Shaman. 5 mana for a 4/4 Giant Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to the number of giants you control to each non-giant creature. So this is an excellent way of just dealing a ton of damage spread out, and hopefully a bit of that will deal excess damage, and we can draw some cards with our commander, which is exactly what we want to do. And our board will be untouched because we're mainly going to be playing giants. To go along with this, we've got a couple of other giants that deal damage. Quakebringer is a 5 mana 5/4. Your opponents can't gain life. And at the beginning of your upkeep, Quakebringer deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability triggers only if Quakebringer is on the battlefield, or if Quakebringer is in the graveyard and you control a giant. So as we're going to be playing a giant sort of tribal deck, this is a nice bit of chip damage that we can just keep getting in, even if it's not on the field. Then it also has Foretell for 4 mana, so you could pay 2 on an earlier turn and then later just pay 4 for this nice big dude. Then Inferno Titan, an absolute classic. 6 mana for a 6/6. Could pay a red to fire breathe it, so it gets +1 so until end of turn. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So potentially, as it's a giant dealing damage, this can trigger our commander when we deal some damage to a creature and kill it. Really, really nice. Hammerfist Giant is a 6 mana 5/4 with Giant Warrior. And tap, it deals 4 damage to each creature with flying and each player. Without flying. So, baseline, he does kill himself, if you activate him. But if you find a way to buff him, put a 1/1 counter on him, something like that, you can use this repeatedly to just keep killing everything and, chip away damage at our opponents. So that is a very good way of winning this game. We control the board and we just keep chipping away at our opponents. Yes, we damage ourselves, but, we're in it for the long haul, you know what I mean? Then this is a giant adjacent card, which is really, really cool. Fire Giant's Fury, 2 mana for a sorcery. Target giant you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player this turn, exile that many cards from the top of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So we get in with a massive giant, potentially exile the top 6 cards, and then we could just spew cards from exile. We can just cast as many as we can just for 2 mana off this pump spell. Really, really powerful. And also, I've just realized this is a way of getting Hammerfist Giant out of range of its own 4 damage, which is really, really nice. And then, you're laughing. Bonecrusher Giant is a 3 mana giant that has, whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability. Nope, sorry, not ability. Just a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. And if it's in your hand, you can cast Stomp, which is an instant for 2 mana. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. So a nice little bit of removal against a lot of commanders. They tend to be quite small, so we could easily just pick off like an Azami or a Captain Sisse or something like that. Really, really nice. Then blue bringing some giants here. Thirax, the Sudden Storm, is a 5 mana 4/5 elemental giant with flash and flying. Flying on a giant, pretty cool. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. So the can't be countered is really, really nice, and also a nice reduction because a lot of giants cost quite a hefty amount of mana. And also, we're going to be playing a fair few X spells as well. In at number 4, we've got one of those X spells. In Rolling Earthquake, a red and X for a sorcery. It deals X damage to each creature without horsemanship and each player. So yes, this deal. Well, I mean, you could play some creatures with horsemanship. They aren't giants generally, but you could do. But this is just going to kill everything on the field, and then we're going to draw a ton of cards with our commander, as our commander will see them all dying and trigger himself to draw a boatload of cards. And it's also dealing a ton of damage to the players as well. Fault Line is another version of this, but it's instant speed. Double red and X, it deals X damage to each creature without flying and each player. So again, chipping away at our opponents and also drawing a ton of cards. You better be ready to recast your commander. Sulphurous Blast is an instant for 4 mana. It deals 2 damage to each creature and each player. If you cast the spell during your main phase, it deals 3 damage to each creature and each player. This is really nice as the 2 damage at instant speed, that allows our commander, which is a 3/3, to remain alive, which is very powerful. So if our opponents have a ton of 1/1 tokens, well, they don't anymore, and we've just drawn a load of cards. And the 3 damage, yes, it kills our commander, but it's that step up that you might need. Blasphemous Act, 9 mana for a sorcery. Spell costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield, deals 13 damage to each creature. So we're going to wipe the board, draw a boatload of cards. Very nice. Yes, it kills our commander. Oh well, we'll just have to recast him. Mizian Mortars, one-sided board wipe here. 2 mana for a sorcery. Deals 4 damage to target creature you don't control. Not great, but it's alright. But you can overload it for 6 mana, which means you replace all instances of target with each. So every one of our opponent's creatures is hopefully going to die if they're quite small, and we'll draw cards. Just give me the cards. Then Volcanic Vision, nice bit of reanimation for our instant sorceries. 7 mana for a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It deals damage equals that card's converted mana cost to each creature your opponents control. So again, hopefully that'll kill him. We draw loads of cards. Exile Volcanic Vision. And we've rebought one of our other instant sorceries. So we might rebuy Immolating Gyre, and then we'll deal 6 damage to it. Immolating Gyre is a 6 mana sorcery from, oh god, what's it called? Not Battle Bond. I have no idea. I can't remember. Mix cards together set. Just slam them together. Immolating Giant deals X damage to each creature in each planeswalker you don't control, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. Excellent. Deals with everything on our opponent's side. We keep all of our creatures. We'll draw some cards. Which brings me on to number 3. And in at number 3, we have Repercussion, which is a 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. So, as we are dealing tons of damage, we can kill some people. Blasphemous Act, excellent example. 13 damage. Well, you've then dealt 13 damage to your opponents and you, if you've got a couple of creatures, for each creature they control. So this can just wipe out games and just annihilate board states. Incredible. Similar to this, but slightly cooler, Body of Knowledge is a 5 mana star avatar, sadly not a giant. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. So we're going to be drawing a ton of cards, hopefully. You have no maximum hand size, so all those cards that we draw, they're not going anywhere. Whenever it is dealt damage, draw that many cards. So with Blasphemous Act, we draw 13 cards. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Chandra's Incinerator, 6 mana for a 6/6 elemental. Spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponents this turn. So if we cast one of our big X spells, dealt some damage to them, it's going to cost a single red. With the creature has trample, and whenever a sorcery control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So we can ping away at our opponent's sort of things, go pew 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 pew, and just kill away. Finally, Silverclad Ferocidons, 7 mana for an 8/5. Very weird stat line, 8/5. Why? Who really knows? It's a dinosaur with Enrage, and whenever it's dealt damage, each opponent sacrifices a permanent. So, if you can just keep pinging this over and over again, pew, 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 your opponents have to sacrifice probably a ton of their lands. Really, really nice. And then that brings me on to number 2. So, well, what if your opponent isn't playing many creatures? Well, let's give them some creatures. Hunted Phantasm is a 3 mana 4/6 spirit. And it's unblockable. Cool. So we can just keep getting in with it. But the reason we're playing it, when it comes into play, put 5 1/1 red goblin creature tokens into play under target opponent's control. So we just give them 5 1/1s, then we play one of our X spells for 2, and then we're going to be drawing 5 cards with all those goblins dying. It's so cool. And even if we've not got one of those X spells, just give it to one of our opponents. Say, oh, you know, John's looking a bit messy. Attack him with the 1/1s. Then they'll ignore you and attack you anyway. But you can try, can't you? To go along with this, Forbidden Orchard, excellent land. Tap it to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. But whenever you tap it, target opponent creates a 1/1 colour spirit creature token. So you're just giving them a spirit that then you can kill to draw cards. Really, really good. Fixes your mana, does everything the deck wants to do. Dowsing Dagger, 2 mana for an equipment. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2/0/2 green blank creature tokens with Defender. So that's fine. They've got Defender. They're not going to be attacking you. And then it's 2 more cards that you draw off all of your X spells. And it's well good. Crit creature gets +2/+1. And whenever a crit creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform Dowsing Dagger. On the other side, it's a land that taps for 3 of any colour. Cool. Then another hunted card, Hunted Dragon. 5 mana for a 6/6 with flying and haste, so you can get in straight away. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens with First Strike. So again, more targets for our mass removal to draw us a ton of cards. Which brings me on to number 1. And in at number 1, it's Kindle the Carnage, which is a fascinating card. And we talked about some cards that deal damage to creatures, but this one is brilliant. So, 3 mana for a sorcery. Discard a card at random. If you do, Kindle the Carnage deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to each creature. You may repeat this process any number of times. So, the way I understand this works is you discard the card, say it's a 3 mana cost card, you then deal 3 damage to everything. Then, you do it again. So you discard another 3 mana cost, and it's another 3 damage. And each of those instances of 3 damage is separate. So, when it resolves, it'll deal 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage. And each of those triggers our commander at a separate time, I believe. If that works that way, that is awesome. And, you know, yes, you discard your entire hand, but by God, you are going to refill it from everything taking so much damage. It's just awesome. And the artwork is so, so cool. Just look at it. It looks so heavy metal. That goblin at the bottom looks amazing. I love it. Really, really cool. And it's got a reference to Ragamuffin. Really, really awesome. To go along with this, there's a couple of other cards that work really well in the deck. Battle of Frost and Fire is a 5 mana saga. The first stage of the saga, Battle of Frost and Fire, deals 4 damage to each non-giant creature and each planeswalker. So, this won't trigger our commander because it's a saga dealing the damage, but it's a good way of just clearing the board and making sure that we have all of our giants. Then, scry 3, and then whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater this turn, draw 2 cards and then discard a card. Just really powerful, nice synergy sort of card. Brash Taunter is a 5 mana goblin, 1/1, with indestructible. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. With all the X spells we're going to be casting, we're going to be dealing a ton of damage out with this. And you can make 3 and tap it to have it fight another target creature. So if it fights a big Ulamog, it's going to deal a ton of damage to your opponent. Then Stuffy Doll, 5 mana for an artifact construct. When it comes into play, choosing a player. Stuffy Doll is indestructible. Whenever a creature whenever damage is dealt to Stuffy Doll, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. And then you can tap it to ping for 1. Really, really cool. Blasphemous Act, again, with both of these cards, can just kill someone. It's really, really good. And those are my top 5 cards for Aegar. He's really, really cool. I like him. Nice. It's the sort of tribal deck I like. It makes you think about things and take them in a slightly different direction. And it's in blue-red, which is fascinating for giants, I guess. Really, really cool. If you like this video, please subscribe. I'm going to be making a lot more like it. I want to do one for every single legendary creature ever printed, and it'll take me a long time. So please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.